He's an amazing writer. He's a good boy and a bad boy. He gets angry. He uses words as bullets, which of course I'm very familiar with. And I like his authenticity. Please welcome Vincent Quattrochi. Yay! Let him have it. The next 20 minutes belong to him. He is our feature for the day. Then we continue the
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I made all those credentials up. They don't fucking exist. This is dedicated to my son, who brought a copy of this here today. Tomorrow's Father's Day. And this is called All the Old Man's Fault. Hallmark defines yet another contrived consumer day of obligation, but fails to see the species, the file, and the role of the basic biological realities exist on some $5 gaily configured cardboard with sentimentality that nobody really believes, or nasty sarcasm that almost everyone smugly snickers at and buys. No, closer to the truth on this Sunday morning in June is that once was thought of as the protector, the provider, the patriarch of the nuclear family, has been reduced to an atom-smashed, pulverized fragment waddling down the aisles of Crap Mart in a sad postmodern procession of the daddy parade. Fat, sad daddies, trim, yuppie daddies, hungover, haunted daddies out of estranged, vacant eyes, ghosts of father figures, booze fighters, fathers of medication, neutered, trivialized, reduced to being walking ATMs for their families' support and subsistence. Big, dumb, stupid-looking, bumbling cartoon cats lisping along their little son's trail, a half a dozen steps behind them, with a brown paper bag over their heads, whining, "Oh, Father, I'm so ashamed." All hail the worthless drunk drinking by himself out in the garage. That frail, shaky, blue-veined, pasty pile of protoplasm who holds his family together with a lion-will grip of silly putty. And the threat of liability of alimony, his manhood emasculated. Balls? What balls? He's been bent over into a question mark like a bowling alley, beer gut, male pattern, baldness, worn down, burnout shell, surfing porn sites of the internet looking for pictures of women who remind him of old girlfriends. In nature, especially in the insect world, when the male is defined only by the biological imperative, basically he's fertilizer. After that, it's off to be eaten, if he's lucky. So here's to your dad, the father, who was once a son himself, reduced to a lonely, haunted, holy ghost. And if he's not here, remember, he was your first teacher, the artist who helped you create the piece of work that is you. Daddy on a leash, daddy on the skids, pale, wobbly old man shaking his fist at death, raging how I still can, even if he couldn't in the first place. You want to believe that you're only here on earth because that worthless bastard thought about getting laid one night after too many beers and conceived your existence? Go for it. But closer to the truth, just maybe you never knew once there was a man who, when he looked at you in the eyes for the first time in that moment, did see a world of love, shining private light like a gate in heaven had been left ajar. Go ahead. Curse his name as you try to forget him, but if he's still around, some night, and no, not this one, crack him a cold one and put your hand on his shoulder and say, "Hey, look, man, to be fair, it's not all your fault. I could have been this fucked up without you anyway." And then duck pretty quickly as he takes a swing at you, and he connects square and plants your little smart-ass mouth ass backwards. You had it coming. Okay. Want to play this way, huh? No laughs? All right. Something to really piss you off. Mr. Clean. Remember this one? Mr. Clean gets tough on dirt and grime and grease in just a minute. Mr. Clean will clean your whole house and every room that's in it. Floors, doors, walls, halls. He's so tough, he cleans them all. This is for Verlis Duran, if you remember that poet. Better watch out there, Mr. Clean. They're coming for you. Just another bald old white guy, annotated as the next fall guy du jour. with a bullseye on your skin head, and all underwear, white tighty, antiseptic, and that earring isn't fucking fooling anybody. If you think that that's going to make you disappear like spray on Formica gets wiped away. Gone with the Wind. Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, Dr. Seuss, Mr. Potato fucking Head. No more Redskins, no more Blackhawks, no more friggin' Cleveland Indians. Fucking progress. Get the disinfectant termination notice. The terrible now, the tribe has spoken. Do you think you were any better, Mr. Race Superior? You got away with it for years. Terrible now, all your ingredients are the sum of all their fears. Subsequent support syntax messages have reached their expiration date, much like the replicant in Blade Runner, who confesses before he gouges God's eyes out, I've done questionable things. So when they continued asking him, he lifted himself up and said unto them, that he is without sin among you, let them cast the first stone. John 8:7. Canceled. Gender bias. As Daffy Duck would say to Elmer Fudd, pronoun trouble. He, she, it, sure, his, them, theirs, great. Newspeak in tongues. One last transgression. If there is a Mrs. Clean in the house, better call home and see if anybody's left. And again I say unto you, it's easy for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich white man to enter the kingdom of God. Hold your cell phones to the end, please. Okay, scouting report for poetry pictures. Here's one for you. This is for features and starters. Number 8. Failed prospect who never survived in bigs with a rescue dog poetry. So now he throws nothing but bitter plywood flat hit. Wants to be announce his presence with authority. Problem is he can't control or vary his best stuff. Thinks his chin music is sticking it in your ear and his ribs is a ticket. Sure, he'll move you off the plate, knock you on your ass, or just walk you. In short, unhittable, unknowable, and ungettable. Next up is the old lefty veteran with a dead arm who can still command most of his stuff. What can you expect from his repertoire? Well, he'll come after you at varying speeds. Nasty cutter, knee-bending 6 to 9 curve, will let you get out in front and chase one in the dirt. Can make you look foolish anytime. Number C, hurls nothing but junk, knuckleballs all over the plate. Seems hittable, but deceptive. No velocity left in the tank, no meaning. Will low you to deck thinking, hell, I can hit this guy, no problem. But you end with another swing and a miss, awkwardly missing any contact or any point, sending you back to the dugout and the audience, shaking your head just how he got it past you. Number D, ham and egger. Somehow manages to hang around and on. Never really was that gifted in the first place, but they still run him up there to eat innings and watch you foul off a dozen poems. And when they finally square one up, it'll go foul and just be a long strike, and the next swing will die on the warning track. The promise of the golden one. All hail and genuflect when they take the mound, the podium. If potential were wolf tickets, then the Hall of Fame awakes. Sorry, ends up in the shack of obscurity. Continues to milk a reputation, just never lived up to the hype. But just for the record, few remember his last solid inning or poem. The one-shot wonder. Came out of nowhere, headed back there soon. Once appeared, he really knew their shit. Got the call to the big up and promptly disappoint. He fucked up immediately. Attempted to reinvent themselves as a romantic, soft toss poet. Doubtful. However, they're in there throwing the same old. Best watch that smirk on your face in the batter's box because the dude has nothing to lose here and he'll wipe that off your face and send you sprawling in the dirt. Somebody always remarks, look, I remember when he was good. And old dependable. This journeyman you can count on taking the ball regardless of an injury. Starts off great, never finishes. Heavy use of body language. Spider ticky-tack stuff pathos. Takes forever. Walks around behind the mound talking to himself. Weeping. Holding the ball like it was a lost tragic lover between pitches and poems. Better pack a lunch or a box of Kleenex. And we'll finish with, in the bullpen, open mic and relief. Don't count on it. If your game and reading is on the line, you might give them a try. Might save it or blow it. However, we'll do it a different way every time. Warning, no more than a dozen pitches or 3 minutes of poems. B, takes friggin' forever to get to the point. We'll either walk the house or put them to sleep. And don't feel bad about giving them the hook as time runs out. And last, going extra innings, this is your guy. How long can he throw? And he'll say, How many you got? No, it's my imagination. I really laying a fucking egg up here. It's all right, man. I got my time. Joseph? Joey. Bent carrot blues for Joey. It's true, bro. There really is something called Peyronie's disease. Look it up. And you know, some guys have all the luck and the best punchlines. That's for Joey. Your shot. Have you ever gotten your shot? How many shots do you think you're going to get? You're going to get, say, you get 2 sometimes, but really, better count on 1 and done, because the bacteria jury is still out. Mutations abound. So did you get that shot? Come on, you know the big one. You've been waiting for all your life. The chance dance with the immune, absolving you in communion in your wildest dreams of your big night. It wasn't him, Charlie. It was you. Remember that night in the garden? You came down to my dressing room and said, kid, this ain't your night. We're going for the price on Wilson. You remember that? This ain't your night. My night. I could have taken Wilson apart. So what happens? He gets a title shot outdoors in a ballpark, and what do I get? A one-way ticket to Palookaville. You were my brother, Charlie. You should have looked out for me just a little. You should have taken care of me just a little, so I wouldn't have to take dives for short-end money. Oh, I had some bets down for you. You saw some money. You don't understand. Come on, everybody together. I could have had class. I could have been content. I could have been somebody instead of a bum. And that's what I am, let's face it. It was you, Charlie. So who was the last one to tell you in your life to look in your eyes with both hands, cupping your ears and purring? We'll make up your mind before we get to 437 River Street. Yeah, well, you still have a shot. Viviana, how's time? Oh, cool. All right. All right, obviously someone with my devastating repertoire up here and gentle good humor. I've been nominated 3 times to be the poet in residence for the New York City Sanitation Department. Oh, no, and I'm not making that up. I have connections downtown. 3 times nominated. I'm still waiting. This is, how do you apply for that? All right, you send your credentials and everything, but how do you write a letter saying, hey man, I really think I can die a happy man if the New York City Sanitation Department decides I'm their poet in residence? Hell, I would have that put on my gravestone, and it would really piss people off. You know, Bukowski said, don't try. I love that poem. I know it, the one that you read, as far as it goes. So this is what I submitted to them. It's called Understanding Garbage. In Rome and other cities in the empire, the approach to waste management was rather lax. Waste of probably all kinds is thrown out of windows onto the street, particularly at night. The satirist Juvenal warns his readers about the phenomenon. It's a long way up to the rooftops, and falling tidal can brain you. Think of all those cracked and leaky vessels tossed out the window, the way they smash, the weight, the damage they do on the sidewalk. You be thought most imprudent, a catastrophe-happy fool if you don't make your way before venturing out to dinner, and pray and hope, poor you, that the local housewives drop nothing worse on your head than a pail full of slops. Who was Juvenal? A Roman poet of the silver age of Latin literature, the last and most powerful of the Roman satirical poets. His biting satirists could be read as a brutal critique of pagan Rome, although their exaggerated comedic mode of expression makes such an assumption at best debatable. The trick is to keep breathing. Garbage. An early comment on their work says sounded like garbage and inspired the band's name. Garbage is an American rock band formed in Madison, Wisconsin in 1993. The band consists of Scottish musician and lead singer Shirley Manson, American musicians, Duke Ellington, Dave Markham, and Butch Vig, who actually was big with, what's his name, the guy that blew his brains out, the grunge dude. All 4 members are involved in singing and songwriting. Garbage has sold over 17 million albums worldwide. Understanding Garbage. It was that winter that I actually overheard myself to enthusiastically remark, lately I've been listening to garbage and I find it highly entertaining. Most importantly, I finally understand garbage. This started when Revelation sounded like a soundtrack for an especially cacophonous week of professional garbage. The ice day, the electrical day, the missing paycheck day, the equipment still in the shop day, the administration treats you like garbage day. Hey, look, it's just not in the budget this year. Since then, I've discovered such magnificent garbage, I've been singing along to garbage. Hell, I've been dancing to garbage. I'll confess, I had a revelation and a change of heart like St. Paul on the road to Damascus. Now, I used to mock garbage, berate garbage, laugh at garbage, count garbage out. I thought I was too good for garbage, outgrown garbage, superior to garbage. Upon personal reflection and blinding epiphany, I have finally admitted it's been a lifetime of taking garbage in general. I mean, hell, I'm a veteran of the service of the profession. Took it in, put it out, collected it, and hit the Leach Packer 3 cycle out on the end of Eastern Long Island at the curb as I heard champion Jack Dupree singing, "Stick out your can, because here comes the garbage man." But this very special private garbage opportunity has re-educated me to the value of garbage. And now I fully understand and appreciate the vocation and the opportunity here, this miraculous calling. I find I'm able to talk garbage, think garbage, teach garbage, construct garbage, deconstruct garbage, write garbage, aspire to fame and fortune through garbage, while every day punching the clock to buy more garbage, pay through the nose for garbage, work with garbage, while swallowing that garbage without guilt, recognizing that garbage has to go somewhere. Blessed be the receptacles and their destinations. In short, somehow in the terrible now, garbage would consider wanting a piece of me. You want a piece of me? Scarface. And I recognize from experience, I better not get my hopes up considering all the garbage poets. They should receive consideration. Look, they might have better garbage, but nobody, man, and I mean, would respect garbage more. And every day, the astounding history of poetry in the New York City sanitation department I represent with pride. And it is an interesting story. One last thing, alternative addendum. As Walter Matthau said to Felix in The Odd Couple, after throwing that plate of spaghetti on the kitchen wall over the sink, yeah, well, now it's garbage. And I'm thinking, upon Neil Simon's second thought, no, it's all so much more than just garbage. Tiny talent time for Frank. Sunday night, wise guys holding court, talking too loud to ignore last-minute white rice yaps burning on the stove, and you could never stop talking to her. More often than not, it was the other way around. She speaks of sleeping without dreaming, and tonight Frankie made the hockey talk sound like wild poetry again. I promised you I wouldn't smoke in bed alone. I lied. More mundane quartet. 4 guys saunter in the bar. They all have girlfriends who smell like patchouli oil and clove cigarettes. They all snivel and gesture a lot. They keep asking each other, what's the story? What's the story? Want a cheeseburger? They don't want it. You want a drink? They don't know. Debate ensues. They order kamikazes. She says, those are big shots. And he says, no, we be the big shots. Then the old Ike comes in, sauntering like he's a golf pro at the local links, who's got 2 WIs under his belt last week alone. And he buys a beer and assesses the quartet. So what's the story? I said, you don't want to know. And he nods in agreement. Neither do they. Good one for you. Remember the Yuppies? It's a lost art. I don't think they really do that anymore. The name went out of style. They all have plans. They all have dates. They're all stunningly attractive. They all have their moments. They have good jobs. They don't have a prayer. They don't pray anyway. They all have money in the bank. They're all in ridiculous debt. They have regrets. They have someone to talk to who has nothing to say and never listens. They all talk nonstop all the time. They have drinking problems, cocaine problems. They know everything, but admit to nothing. They've been everywhere. They never left town. They all have airtight alibis. All the stories are full of holes. They all cast shallow shadows. They all have broken hearts. If they had them, that is. All right, Viv. I sense the crowd is tiring. You say it's always a bad idea to not bait the crowd, but to break the wall and go like, I can tell when things are swinging, when it's sort of like, enduring a command performance. Incidental contact, play on. That's okay. You stare on your phones later. You'll feel better. Write a shitty review on Get Out of My Facebook or Insta Idiot or Twipper. Actually, this kind of thing is dedicated to my mom, who just passed. We're going to put her in the ground on Monday. Oh no, the wake's on Monday and the funeral's on Tuesday. Standard Catholic service. And she was 90 plus, man. She lived a good time. The last 9 months of her life was like somebody who had a lot of money left on a cab on the meter, but nowhere to go. That's no way to live. And much like this other fella was dealing with it, she was dealing with that too. I wrote a series called The Edna Variations, and no, I'm not going to read all of them. But this is the foreword for it. For my mother in memory of her husband, my dad, and our father who passed 10 years before. You will not negotiate with death. You cannot dictate terms, conditions, or schedules. Death will not be timetabled. It takes as long to be born under artificial means as it takes to die of natural causes, unless you helped out. Death will come for you. The only thing you really know about death is that you cannot prepare, anticipate, control, elude. The biggest fear you will have is to face when death arrives is just how the living will deal with loss. Death knows the name of everyone you've ever loved and will take their heart and soul with it away from you here on earth forever. And just for the record, death knows your name too. It knows all of our names. Perhaps our only hope is before a loved one leaves us, or it is our time to go, that a stamp of return to sender is placed deeply in the departed's heart. Thank you.
Yeah.
By the way,
Thank you very much. You finished already. All right.
bye-bye now.
Garbage homes by white trash.
Huh?
Garbage homes by white trash.
That's about it, too.